This is an analysis from Alpha Business Media. Today, we're diving into Nepal's agricultural revolution. It's a really critical case study, you know? It shows us how innovation can tackle some truly formidable economic and environmental challenges.
So you have this agricultural backbone that supports more than 2/3 of the entire population, but right now it's under an unprecedented amount of strain. You've got this mix of climate change and some really profound social shifts that are basically forcing a nation deeply rooted in tradition, to completely reimagine its economic future.
So to really get a handle on what's going on, we need to look at the central conflict here. See, Nepal's farmers aren't just facing one single issue. They're caught in what you could call a dual crisis, and it's threatening their very livelihood.
Okay, so on one side you have the climate crisis, and this isn't some abstract concept. It's a tangible daily reality for them. We're talking unpredictable weather, weakened crops, and disruptions to farming cycles that have been in place for ages. Then, on the other side, you've got this quiet social revolution happening. As men are migrating for work, it's the women who are increasingly left to manage the farms, but here's the catch: they often don't have the same access to things like credit, information, or even land rights.
So when you have this convergence of climate and social pressure, it really demands a new approach. And that's exactly what's happening. It's sparking some really targeted innovations. First, let's take a look at the high-tech solutions. Everything from digital platforms to aerial drones that are completely transforming how farms are managed.
All right, leading the charge here is a platform called Geocrishy. And look, this is not just another farming app you'd find on your phone. It's a really comprehensive digital support system. The key feature, the real game changer, is its use of geotagging. This lets it give hyper-specific advice that's tailored to a farm's unique microclimate and soil conditions.
Now, what's really crucial here is that the whole Geocrishy ecosystem was designed to get around barriers like low digital literacy. It's a multi-platform approach, right? It's got tools for individual farmers, for experts, for co-ops, and it's all backed up by a call center. This whole setup ensures it's broadly accessible. And honestly, the best way to understand the impact of this design is to look at a specific user's story.
You can immediately see the value here. For a farmer like Bigan, what used to be a process of guesswork and, frankly, costly trial and error, well, that's now replaced by a rapid, data-driven decision. It's a huge shift.
And that shift has a tangible economic benefit. We're talking about a 40% reduction in the costs for treating diseases in plants and livestock. Now, for a small-scale farmer, savings of that magnitude, that can literally be the difference between making a profit and taking a loss for the year.
Okay, so moving beyond software. You've got drone technology creating a whole other kind of efficiency revolution. This is especially true for crop spraying, and the metrics here, they're pretty striking. The time it takes to treat 1 acre drops from about 3 hours down to under 7 minutes. That is a fundamental shift in labor efficiency and resource management.
So what this data really shows us is just a dramatic leap in efficiency. Think about it. Water consumption gets slashed by up to 90%. Chemical costs drop by nearly 1/3, and maybe most importantly, it minimizes the farmer's own exposure to hazardous materials. So these figures aren't just about savings, they represent a much more sustainable and far less labor-intensive way of farming.
But you know, innovation in Nepal isn't all about high-tech gadgets. Actually, some of the most powerful solutions are decidedly low-tech. They're happening from the ground up.
Take Trico vermicompost, for example. Now, this is way more than your standard compost. It's actually a potent biofertilizer. The process uses earthworms, and then it enriches the final product with a beneficial fungus that naturally helps protect the plants from diseases that come from the soil.
And the process itself is really accessible. It just uses local organic waste. That simplicity, well, that's key to its success, especially when you consider the women who now form the backbone of Nepal's rural workforce.
The results from a pilot project run by the NGO IDE were pretty significant. First off, crop yields went up by 15%. The initiative also created 22 new jobs. And by setting up a local market for any surplus compost, it effectively turns a waste product into a valuable commodity. This has created a really ideal microenterprise, especially for women farmers. So the strategic implication here is pretty clear. It's creating new, stable streams of income. The project is expected to bring in about $300 in additional income per farmer each year, and in rural Nepal, that is a significant amount of money.
So what this really shows is that for innovation to be successful, it has to be accessible, both financially and, just in terms of being easy to adopt. But And this is a big but. Despite all these promising solutions, there are some significant systemic barriers that are slowing down progress.
And these challenges are really multifaceted. You've got infrastructure problems, like limited internet and unstable power. There are financial hurdles, like high initial costs and a lack of credit. And then you have social factors, like low digital literacy and even just general skepticism.
But maybe the most significant challenge lies in this. Well, this frustrating paradox where the government is acting as both an accelerator and a brake at the same time. Get this. On one hand, it provides a very generous 85% subsidy for farmers to buy drones. But on the other hand, to legally fly that exact same drone, a farmer has to get permits from 12 different government departments. It's a classic case of one step forward, two steps back.
This conflict between the stated goals and the bureaucratic reality on the ground, it's one of the most serious obstacles to modernization. So the big question is, what's the path forward?
Well, it's important to remember that technology is just a tool, right? It's not a magic bullet. Its success really depends on having a supportive ecosystem. So key actions would include things like harmonizing policies, maybe creating a single window for permits. It also means making targeted investments in infrastructure and training, and developing financial tools like credit and insurance that are built specifically for these small-scale farms.
So this really is the core question, isn't it? Nepal's journey offers this incredibly valuable blueprint for how targeted innovation can bolster food security. The solutions, as we've seen, have been proven effective. The critical challenge now is institutional. It's about building that supportive ecosystem you need to really scale these solutions. Ultimately, whether Nepal can overcome its own bureaucracy will determine its agricultural future. And in doing so, it provides a vital lesson for developing economies all around the world.